Hello, everyone. So today I just finished recording my 12-hour drawing session, as always, and I just wanted to give you some advice on drawing from memory and actually learning how to study things. Because in today's live stream, what I did was basically study a bunch of engines, and I want to share some lessons from what I've learned. Not necessarily about the engines, but about just like the takeaways of learning something and memorizing things. So I'm gonna give you the long presentation, and in the end, you will have the sped up time lapse of the entire live stream in case you want to watch it. So make sure to watch it until the end. I promise this video is gonna be really valuable. Hello guys, what's up? Today I'm doing this presentation fully naked so you can study anatomy whilst I teach you how to draw. No, I'm just kidding. So how to study without copying and memorizing stuff better. I'm going to show you how to do this because a lot of people were asking me, oh, how do I use reference? Like I'm kind of reluctant to use references because it's kind of like cheating and I don't enjoy it. But at the same time, I want to learn from imagination. I want to learn to draw from imagination. So how do I do it? How do I learn to draw stuff? Well, I'm going to show you how. It takes a few steps. It's not very complicated. It just takes a whole lot of time to kind of master. It's like a video game that is easy to learn but hard to master, or like it's kind of long to fully master the game. So how it works. You are not going to stop using references. In fact, you're going to use more. I would even dare to say 60% of the process is just looking at a reference instead of drawing. But you're not going to draw what you see. We're not copying, we are recreating. So this is not painting, all right? We're going to truly focus on understanding what we're drawing. And this is the issue. If you, like there was someone on the stream that was asking me, yeah, I can copy, all right. I can copy things, all right, but I can't draw it without a reference. And I'm going to tell you right away, the reason why you're not able to draw without a reference or without copying things is because you don't know perspective, or you haven't integrated perspective enough that you can just draw from imagination and you're able to, it just clicks for you, right? You're not able to construct and to attach shapes with it to one another and everything. So I'm going to show you a little bit how that goes. But that is the easy part. It just takes forever to master. Well, it doesn't actually take that long. It takes like, to master perspective, I'm telling you right now, I'm telling you before starting the video, to fully master perspective, it will take you like an entire year, probably a little bit less, a little bit more, depending on how locked in you are, depending if you're practicing every day. But you gotta practice perspective. That is imperative. So how do you practice perspective? You just draw a bunch of boxes in 3D space, a lot of vanishing points and all that boring stuff that eventually becomes really fun. And it's going to click for you and it's going to be super easy. But you gotta study perspective. Otherwise, everything that I'm gonna teach you here is not gonna work at all. Trust me. It's not gonna work for you because perspective is the minimum requirement. It's like, okay, imagine you're playing this video game, but you need to know the controllers. You need to know how to play the video game before actually getting good at the video game. Does that make sense? So learning perspective would be the equivalent of learning the controllers on a video game, would be the equivalent of knowing how to move across the map and how to kill people, how to level up the guns and everything, like the movement. That's basically what it takes. And if you can't do that, you won't be good at it. It's just the fact. If you don't go through the tutorial, you won't be able to get good because you need to know the basics. So my experience, I used to practice drawing by copying other artists, and I thought I didn't have the skill to visualize things in my mind. So I used to tell myself that I had bad memory, that I couldn't visualize things. I even thought I had this condition. I forget the name, but it's, this condition where you can't see visual images in your mind. I used to think I had this, but in reality, we all have, I guess we have different degrees of visualization. Like I may be able to visualize things better than you, and you may be better at visualizing things than me, like another random person. Like I have a friend who is better at visualizing things than me, and I'm very jealous because he's not an artist or anything. He's just like a random person, but he is just better at that skill. But, I don't like to think, oh yeah, that is genetics. It doesn't depend on the things I can actually change. I don't give a fuck. Even if it's something genetic, I still going to go all in and practice as much as possible, level up as much as possible, even with the limitations, because that's the winner's mindset. You don't want to be a loser thinking, oh no, I have this handicap, so I'm not talented, I have bad genetics. Make up for it. Make up with discipline, hard work, and a lot of practice, like I'm doing. So these are some bad drawings that I did when I was younger, when I was like 16. This was in like my second year of drawing, and these were just copies. This is like a character from Genshin Impact, and these are just copies from other artists. I used to do that a lot, and copy from like animes. Like I would watch some random anime, and I would pause like a frame that I like. Oh, this character looks kind of cool. I'm gonna draw it, and I'm just copying it. I'm copying the lines that I see, and this is something that I'm gonna cover a little. I'm gonna cover in detail a little later. But you don't copy the lines ever. You don't copy the lines that you see. You understand the shapes. So, first of all, before jumping into the whole lesson, the prerequisite is that you have to know and have a feel for perspective in 3D space. All right. So perspective is not only about foreshortening or vanishing points. It's more about understanding how to make things interact in the same 3D space, in the same environment, and how to do that intuitively without having to use 100,000 guidelines and grids everywhere. You know, that's what's gonna make you draw things from imagination and understand things better and integrate that into your visual memory, visual library, whatever you want to call it, without knowing perspective, which sounds kind of crazy, right? You're probably not going to believe me, but learning perspective is super important if you want to memorize things better. If you don't know perspective and you're trying to memorize something, you're going to do it in a very shitty way for some reason. So perspective is not so much about the drawing itself, it's more, it will also help you a lot with memorizing and retaining that information into your brain. So let's actually go with how to study and how to memorize things better. So the step one is to understand the 3D shapes of the object. So if you can't memorize the whole thing right away, which you won't most of the time, learn the basic form of it first. Draw the shell and visualize it without any details, like a plastic version of that object. So this may be a little tricky to explain, so I'm just going to put some examples here on the screen so you can have an idea more or less what I'm talking about. But in a nutshell, it's just grabbing a complex object and simplifying it in boxes and cylinders. That's it. You can simplify everything in boxes and cylinders. Anything you can think of, you can simplify it in boxes and cylinders. Everything that has a 3D shape, even organic forms like a person, like the human body, a face. You can simplify a face in boxes. Even if you're gonna draw like a box, like a hit box, or if you're gonna draw the Azaro head, it's also very boxy and very perspective oriented. The way that you simplify it. So learning perspective is super important, but you gotta visualize this. You gotta visualize learning something again as a video game. So if you can memorize the whole thing right away, just learn the basic form of it. What does this mean? You're going to learn, again, the shape. You're going to memorize the shape. So if I'm trying to draw an engine, the first thing that I'm going to do if I've never looked at an engine before is not trying to memorize the little tiny details and the little tiny parts and all the little things that and everything, you know, the small parts that are just too overwhelming. What I'm going to focus on is the basic structure of the object. So here's the example that I always give. If you had to simplify something like a car engine into a singular Lego block, how would you do it? Like imagine that engine being just a plastic Lego figure without any detail, just like the shell, if that makes sense. Imagine the engine being like that. How would you do it? That's kind of level one of learning to draw an engine. And from going to level one, from level 1 to level 100, it's not really that complicated. Because here's the thing, here's what I don't like about the people who teaches you this kind of thing. And, you know, the mannequin, you've probably seen the mannequin, people drawing the mannequin and telling you, yeah, it is important that you draw the mannequin for simplifying the human structure and everything. And that's pretty good. But they don't tell you how to go from drawing the mannequin to actually drawing an actual person with more detail and complex structures and more organic shapes. Why? Because they have no fucking idea what they're talking about. They don't even know how to overload that themselves, how to overload the process of leveling up the mannequin, because the mannequin is supposed to be level 1. And once you are in level 1, you just keep leveling up progressively. So you go level 2, then level 5, then level 10, level 30, until you get to level 100, which is something like Kim Jong-il, right? When you're able to draw a human body from any perspective without fucking up, you know exactly all the muscles, all the details. So it's like, if let me give you an example with the human body. Imagine you're drawing a full body, and I'm watching you draw the full body. If I ask you, what is this part? Why did you draw this line here? What is the purpose of you drawing this line? What is the purpose of you drawing this part? I don't know, this muscle here. Do you know the name of the muscle? Do you know where it connects with the rest of the body? And if you tell me, no, not really. Like, this is like just what I remember out of muscle memory or my intuition, you know? But I don't really know what I'm doing. You're doing it wrong. You're actually doing it very wrong. You should know exactly what you're doing. You should know why things are the way they are, right? But of course, that's like the next step that we're gonna cover. But you gotta actually know what you're doing, right? There should not be any gibberish going on. You should know exactly what you're drawing and why you're drawing it. Even if it's like, this is why we simplified in very simple shapes like boxes, because it's easy to draw a box because you actually know what that box represents, which for a human, it may represent like the head or the torso, or the core, the abdomen, and then the pelvic area. So once you know that, the step number 2 is understand why things are where they are. So this is going to elaborate a little bit on this that I just said previously. Take some time to understand how the thing you're drawing works, because when you do, the shapes that you're drawing won't feel arbitrary, and you will butcher them way less. And it will help you remember the object at least 50% more when you're drawing from memory if you know how it works. A few days ago, when I was doing one of my streams, somebody told me, oh, I don't think you should put that much effort into memorizing this thing because the average person is not going to maybe care about this, or it's not going to be necessary to memorize this object so well. In this case, maybe we were talking about car engines or something. So yeah. And my response was, if you actually want to be good at drawing car engines, it's not only your job to understand the shapes and to memorize the shapes in 3D space and being able to rotate them in your mind and on the canvas, but it's also your job to understand why things are there. You should investigate. You should do your research about car engines and how do they work. What's underneath the boxes that you're drawing? What is inside? What is like how you can detach the things from the car engine, the parts and everything. You should be able to know this stuff, at least to a very basic degree, where it's like, okay, at least I know what I'm doing a little bit. You know, there's not too much gibberish going on. I remember I booked a call with a very good artist on Instagram that I found early, like last year. And I remember I asked him this question because he used to draw very complicated stuff. And I asked him, yeah, man, you like this stuff that you drew is very complex, like kind of sci-fi, mechanical stuff. And I was like, okay, how much of this is gibberish, and how much of this is just you knowing what you're doing and how this thing kind of connects and everything, and how do you make sense of this? And he didn't really answer me the question, or he didn't answer me the way that I wish he did. But I eventually figured out that, yeah, you should in fact know as much as possible about the object, and you should mitigate the amount of gibberish that there is in your drawing. There shouldn't be like random details that, oh yeah, let me fake it. Let me draw these random details that don't really make any sense, but they look kind of cool. They kind of pretending that they make sense. The idea is that you memorize the actual details of the thing that you're drawing. So how do you memorize the actual details? You go into like Google Images or Pinterest. I personally stopped using those because nowadays I go to websites like Sketchfab or Post My Art, where I'm probably gonna link them here somewhere or something. But these websites are really cool because those are 3D websites that allow you to rotate things in any angle in perspective so you can see it from all the different angles. And that's going to boost your improvement when it comes to learning something specifically. And it is really cool. The idea for memorizing something is that you look at it at all with the intention of memorizing it. And I'm going to give you a very, very powerful trick here for memorizing stuff, or like a way of measuring whether you're actually memorizing things. You got to take mental observations. Your brain has to take mental observations of the thing that you are truly memorizing. Otherwise, you can look at something. I have this mug here right next to me. You can look at it and it's like, oh yeah, I'm observing it, but you're not really learning about it. You're not really taking like the mental screenshot or mental observations about it. So it's completely useless that you observe it if you're not going to actually try to understand how it works. But if you look at an object, let's say the other day I was studying human skulls, and what were some of my mental observations? My mental observations were, okay, you got the nose, right? It like the nose is aligned perfectly with the cheekbone here, where the cheekbone kind of ends. So I know when I draw a face, I know that if I drew the nose higher or lower than the height of the cheekbone, I fucked it up. So I know that this proportion-wise, at least, this is kind of attached to this. And then the cheekbone connects here to like the ear on this like bridge kind of shape looking bone that, you know, it also kind of connects here to like this other part of the cranium, to the forehead and everything, and the eye socket. And, you know, you start taking these notes like, oh yeah, this part of the cheekbone kind of looks like a bridge, and it's kind of thin, and you have a hole here where, you know, you can put your finger here. And, you know, here is where the jaw kind of connects here, and it has this shape that kind of looks like a bicycle. I don't know. You come up with analogies and ways for your brain to understand these things better. If you're not coming up with this, that means you're not making enough mental observations. And the idea is that you come up with your own, because I can give you mine. I can share with you my mental observations, like, oh yeah, the eye socket is not as sharp on this side next to the nose, but here is sharper, and it kind of lines up here, and then it follows like this curve with like the nose, whatever, you know. It's better that you take your own mental observations and notes about how the thing that you want to draw works, even if it's a human body. Like, for example, I used to have issues drawing the shoulders. Yeah, the shoulders and the way they connect with the torso, with the collarbone, with the chest, because I know they kind of connect here somewhere, but I didn't know how. And then I realized, okay, what are some mental notes that I took on this? There is like, if you detach the shoulder here, there is like a hole, because when I do this, you can see that the shoulder is also kind of taking a little bit of the upper part of the chest. So there is like a hole here. It's almost like some sort of mouth, where it's my chest here is eating the shoulder like this, and it's also connected to the back, to the I forgot the name, the scapula and the collarbone here. So it's kind of like connected here, whoop whoop, and then it just connects here with the back. So those are some of my mental observations personally. So this is why anytime I'm coaching someone, for example, I ask them, okay, what are some mental notes that you've taken? What are some mental observations? Tell me, because I want to make sure that you're actually learning, because I can explain things for you, but I can't learn these things for you. Well, which, by the way, if you want me to coach you in your drawings and help you personally, go check the link in the description. Go check my one-to-one coaching. So it's basically just progressively overloading the levels, the complexity of the object, almost like a video game. So it's like level 1, you start with very basic shapes. Level 2, you start adding more detail, and so on. How long does it take to go from level 1 to level 100? Honestly, not as much as you think. Depending on how complex it is. For example, a car engine. I'm gonna put you like some of the. No, wait. Actually, this is the car engine that I drew. I did this from from imagination. Sorry, I had drawn this once before. Like I drew this once from reference. Which, by the way, I draw from reference sometimes, but I don't copy. If I'm gonna draw from references, here's what I do. I look at a reference. Imagine this is the reference. I'm going to draw it from a complete different perspective or angle. So I'm not directly copying the lines. This is the issue that most people do. I'm actually making sure that I understand it so well that I'm able to draw it in another perspective, angle, eye level, and everything. So I'm not directly copying. I'm just drawing them. So I make sure to memorize the details and everything. So I drew this engine once from reference, again, not directly copying it, just drawing it, using it as a guide. And then I drew this one without any reference, without even looking at the drawing I did previously. And I memorized a lot of it, maybe like 60% of it, like or at least like the biggest details, maybe like 70%. Of course, they may still be a little bit of gibberish here and there, but this is why we just keep on doing it more and more and more and more. So in one day, if you only practice car engines, for example, you can go from level 1 to level 80 because of how complex it is. Like, I can't promise you're going to go from level 1 to level 100 in just one day. Depending on how good your memory is and how committed you are, it may take you some more or less time to memorize it. All right, so step number 3 is to visualize all the small details until you reach level 100, which is what I was talking about a little earlier. So visualize learning as like leveling up in a video game, right? So when you draw something for the first time, you're at level 1. And the goal from there is to memorize it until you can draw it in a believable way from imagination, which in video game terms would be something around level 60 to 70, but you can absolutely reach level 100, as in memorizing 100% of the details. It just takes a bit longer. But yes, even if you think that, oh, I have bad memory, I can't memorize this because, I don't know, I have bad genetics. No, you don't. You need to have some intention. If right now I tell you, hey, memorize the way this microphone works, otherwise, I'm going to kill your entire family. You're going to memorize every fucking detail, aren't you? You're going to memorize like the little, like the jagged edges here and like the knobs and everything. And you're going to be like, oh yeah, I can actually memorize it. And if I tell you to do the same thing with an engine, you're going to do it as well. It's easier to memorize it after you draw it, though, because that means you're understanding it better and you're actually rotating it, and it forces you to visualize it in your mind as well. So, yeah, pretty much what I was talking about before. You just gotta go from level 1 and progressively overload it, just like going to the gym. Pretty much, you gotta go from like lifting the empty barbell, and then you can actually bench like 200 pounds or whatever you want, and from there you can just go up to your limits, up to your potential, whatever. And then it's like, okay, you already mastered drawing a human or a car engine. Now what? Now you keep drawing a lot of things. What do you want to draw? What do you like drawing? Do you like drawing ships? Do you like drawing helicopters? Memorize the way they look. Memorize all the models. Trust me, you're not going to run out of things to learn how to draw in a lifetime. So this is basically all it takes. I think the most complicated thing about this personally is learning perspective, which is it's not complicated, actually. I lied, but it's just a little bit overlooked. Well, very overlooked, actually, because it's the actual prerequisite that you need in order for you to do this. So if you don't know perspective, go practice perspective. If you are planning on closing this video and go practice this that I told you without knowing perspective, you're going to fuck it up. I give you my word, you're going to fuck it up and you're going to get frustrated. Oh, it doesn't look good. Why? Because you don't know perspective. Because you haven't drawn 5,000 boxes from imagination in different angles, rotating them and everything. Bro, I used to bring my sketchbook with me everywhere and just draw a bunch of boxes for an entire year. If you do that every day, it may take you less than a year. It may take you a little bit longer. It may take you 3 months. I don't know. It depends on you. But yeah, it's very simple, right? It shouldn't be anything complex, and I just want to cut through all the BS, because the people who tell you how to draw from imagination, like the people who tell you to draw the mannequins and everything, is the equivalent of, imagine a personal trainer at the gym telling you, oh, you gotta lift the empty barbell first. Okay, then what? How do I progress from the empty barbell to actually benching 200 pounds? I don't know. It's the same fucking thing. You gotta know how to overload it so you can actually do more complex things, and you can actually draw things with more detail and more detail from imagination. So this is basically about the presentation for today. I'm gonna leave you with the time lapse, and I'm gonna be like commentating over it for a while. So stick around. All right. So today I decided that I was going to draw some engines because why not? Engines are kind of cool. They're very complex, and I was already drawing a lot of human anatomy from that point. So I was going to change things a little bit and try to learn something different. Because sometimes learning more mechanical things can be good for understanding how to simplify other things like human anatomy and more organic shapes in general. So to attach the shapes and everything is just really good. So yeah, basically all that I'm able to draw here is because of learning perspective. So these engines, I'm mostly drawing them from imagination, and every now and then I just do like a little pause to look at some references and understand more of the details and everything. So I don't want you to get confused. Drawing from my imagination is not about never using references ever anymore. It's about using more references than anyone else. But at the same time, you're not really copying from them, but you are understanding them. So even if you're not drawing, even if you're outside, even if you're doing something else and you're not able to draw, you can still observe things, and you will learn a lot if you're really putting some effort. When you're looking at people, observe the way that the muscles kind of flex, or that they show, or when they're sitting in like specific position. Just observe the body and observe the way it works, and do that with everything. But what I would recommend, and something that I should probably start doing too, is like do it in a organized way where it's just like, okay, today I'm studying this specific thing. I'm studying car engines. Tomorrow I'm studying only torsos or human like faces, whatever. Because if you have ADHD, like like this, you're just drawing whatever thing you feel like doing. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, but especially when you're drawing for 12 hours, Jesus Christ, it can get a little bit boring to draw the same thing over and over again. But in the end, it's just a matter of drawing a lot of things a lot. You draw one day, you draw ships, the other day you draw motorcycles. Yeah, in the end, when you realize, okay, all that's left to do now is just grind. It's just put in the work and actually fight my own demons, and I did develop the discipline to actually draw every day and improve. Because people say, oh, you don't have to draw every day. You just draw for 30 minutes and then get inspiration watching Netflix for 6 hours a day. Like the fucking dumbasses who just find any excuse to waste time and cope and saying that video games are a source of inspiration. No, they're not. They're just coping. And so, yeah, drawing a lot is very important. And I'm also doing this because, yeah, I'm not going to waste my time. Doing these live streams keep me very accountable. So I'll try to keep just doing this every single day. Because if I'm doing these live streams and I'm drawing at the same time, I'm not going to be fucking scrolling on Instagram, or I'm not going to be checking my notifications or anything. You won't see me checking my phone or anything. Like the only time where I take a break is just for drawing a little bit, and actually for taking like a little nap, because I didn't sleep too much on previous night, so I had to take a little nap because I was a little tired. But I was still having a lot of fun. I not getting burnout or anything. Like I just don't want people to say, "Oh, you're getting burned out because you fell asleep." No, I decided to take a nap because I hadn't slept enough, but I wanted to keep on drawing, so I woke up. I ate my breakfast and I continued drawing. So it's always really fun because I'm not gonna like it. It is a lot of time, to be honest, but what else am I gonna do with all of this free time that I have? If in the end this is my job, I want this to be my full-time job, so I'm treating it as a full-time job, and I enjoy it so much. I'm improving so much as well. I'm improving super fast, and everything is just working perfectly. And it's like, bro, if there is even one person in the entire world, if there's even one person who can draw for 12 hours a day and not get burnout, why not me? Why not being the person who's more passionate about art, who's more ambitious? I'm tired of like this pussy propaganda where everything is just, oh, don't work so hard, just don't draw so much, you're gonna get burnout. I don't give a fuck, bro. I prefer getting burnout, which I'm not getting burnout ever. You know, I may be a little tired of boring or bored of drawing for a while, and I'm like, oh man, I want to go to the gym a little bit. But you know, that's not burnout. Just that's just like normal. And I didn't even get tired here. I was just like, yeah. I even extended the live stream a little bit. I made it like 13 hours long instead because I was like, you know what? I actually want to keep on drawing a little more. I want to keep on drawing a little more. I want to keep drawing some engines. I'm like, okay, just the last one, just the last engine, and you know, I ended up. I usually end up even drawing at night after this live streams off camera, a little practicing, doing some practice. But you know, I need to get my shit together a little. I should also talk a little about the drawings here. Here I started to draw a little bit of an anatomy for some reason. I was like, let me practice some bodies. I feel like just drawing some bodies here. So I started to also be, you know, but once I learned the fundamental muscles and everything, I started to also practice the actual bones, the pelvis, the spine, the rib cage, and then the actual muscles. And you know, I'm really grinding human anatomy, and I'm getting very close to figuring it out. Mostly, you know, to the point where it's like, yeah, I can draw a human in whatever level of detail from any angle and everything. In my opinion, drawing faces is more complicated. I'm also practicing that. And you know, since there's so many things, I'm just like a little kid in a candy shop trying to do everything at once. It's just crazy how much grind you have to put into this. It's like playing Call of Duty, and you know, you have like 500 guns or something that you have to level up. You have 500 guns that you have to unlock the camos and level up to the maximum level, so then you can unlock the rest. And that's just like a video game, honestly. For me, this is the same grind of the video games. And to be fair, you know, if you're anything like me, if you're the type of person who is very or has like a very addicted personality to video games or to all of these distractions, because I'm the type of person who likes grinding these things. I'm the type of person, yeah, I'm gonna unlock all the camouflages, level up all the guns and everything. But since that's not very healthy to do that in video games, because you know, you're wasting a lot of your time, I might as well use that time productively to do some drawing and actually develop my skill and my intuition, my ambition, and stuff that I find purposeful, that the world likes as well, and that I'm doing something great for humanity in some way, and for me as well. I find it super fun. You know, to the equivalent of playing video games, this is like a video game for me, man. So when you start saying this is a video game, you're never gonna get burnout. It's like, no, I'm actually not getting burnout. You never get burnout when you're playing video games, right? When you're playing video games, even more than I used to play video games more for over 12 hours a day, and you know, I wasn't getting burnout. So you know, I'm like, okay, I'm here always checking my notifications. Yeah, I actually lied to you. I did check my notifications after like the 12th hour. So yeah, this is I'm still drawing some engines here. This is all from imagination, except for the one at the right. But everything else is just from imagination. After observing things, it's just like, okay, I remember this, the details, and I keep looking at things and understanding things to a deeper level. And this doesn't only apply with engines, but with everything else. And in my opinion, well, this may be a little objective actually, but yeah, it is easier to, when you know perspective, of course, it is easier to draw a fucking car engine, like a V12 engine, than it is to draw a human body, like a full human body, because the anatomy is more organic, is more complex. But when you have like an engine like this, the perspective is more straightforward. It's easier to simplify and to rotate, to observe things. This was basically about it, guys. I hope that it was useful, because I tried to cover a little bit of everything, but there are so many things that to be discussed here. But anyways, if you're interested in my one-to-one coaching, you can check it. It's in the first link in the description, or you can just send me a DM on Instagram. And well, if you got to this point of the video where you watch like a 35-minute video on drawing, you're the type of person that I want to coach. You're the type of person that I want to be great. And, that means that you also have a great level of ambition and obsession with drawing and art in general. So go check it out now. Bye.